In the heart of Hollow Woods, a dense forest known for its eerie silence, there stood an old decrepit mansion. The mansion was once the pride of the Hollow family, but for decades it had been abandoned, left to decay and rot. Locals spoke in hushed tones about the place, sharing tales of ghostly apparitions and chilling screams heard in the dead of night. Emma, a curious and adventurous journalist, arrived in the nearby village of Ravenswood with the intent of uncovering the truth behind the legends of the Echo House. Despite the villagers' warnings, she was determined to spend the night in the mansion to gather material for her next article. As dusk fell, Emma made her way through the winding path leading to the mansion. When she reached the mansion, it loomed before her, its broken windows resembling hollow eyes that stared down in silent judgment. Pushing open the heavy, creaking door, Emma stepped inside. The air was thick with dust and the scent of mildew. She set up her equipment in the grand foyer, noting the peeling wallpaper and the faded portraits of the Hollow family members that seemed to follow her with their eyes. As night enveloped the mansion, Emma began her investigation. She recorded the empty rooms, narrating her observations into her tape recorder. Around midnight, the temperature dropped sharply. Emma shivered, pulling her jacket tighter around her. Her flashlight flickered, and she heard a faint whisper. At first, she thought it was the wind, but then she realized it was a voice, a soft, pleading voice calling her name. Heart pounding, she followed the voice up the grand staircase, which groaned under her weight. The voice led her to a door at the end of a long corridor. With trembling hands, she pushed it open. Inside was a nursery, untouched by time. A dusty crib stood in the center, and a mobile of stars and moons hung above it, swaying gently. The voice was clearer now, coming from the crib. Emma approached slowly, her flashlight beam revealing a small, tattered doll lying inside. As she reached out to touch it, a cold hand clasped her wrist. She gasped, dropping the flashlight, which rolled away, casting wild shadows around the room. In the dim light, she saw a ghostly figure of a little girl, her eyes wide with terror. "They're coming," the girl whispered. "You must leave, now." Desperate, Emma ran to the window and threw it open. The drop was steep, but she had no choice. She climbed out, holding onto the ledge before letting herself fall. She landed hard, pain shooting through her leg, but she forced herself to get up and limp away. As she reached the edge of the woods, she glanced back at the mansion. The ghostly girl stood at the window, watching her with sad, hollow eyes. Emma didn't stop running until she was back in the village. She burst into the tavern, breathless and shaking. The villagers looked at her with a mix of fear and understanding. "You saw them, didn't you?" an old man asked. Emma nodded, her voice trembling. "Yes, and I'm never going back there," the village elder sighed. "The Hollow family was cursed. Their spirits can't rest, and anyone who enters that house becomes part of their nightmare. You're lucky to have escaped." Emma never returned to Hollow Woods, but the experience haunted her forever. The echoes of the mansion's horrors stayed with her, a chilling reminder of the darkness that lurks in forgotten places. And the doll she had grabbed? She buried it deep in the woods, hoping to lay the spirits to rest. But sometimes, late at night, she could still hear the whispers calling her name from the shadows.